Welcome back to Newsday. Thank you for staying with us. Now, a chieftain of the People's Democratic Party, Chief Bode George, is warning the federal government not to extend the river state of emergency in River State beyond September 18th. The emergency was declared by President Bola Tinubu after tensions flared between Governor Sim Fubara and his predecessor, who's now the FCT Minister, Nyesom Wike. But George says there was no violence to justify the measure, likening the situation to political crises of the past that eventually fueled the Civil War. Speaking on a radio program, he also cautioned the state sole administrator, Vice Admiral Ibok Ete Ibas, to act with restraint, reminding him that he would one day be held accountable for his actions. George insisted that allowing an unelected official to oversee local government matters undermines democracy, warning that extending the emergency rule would provoke unrest in the state. Well, Arise News analyst Dayo Sobowale joins us now for his perspective about the state of emergency in River State and the specific warning of the PDP stalwart Bode George against an extension. Good afternoon, Mr. Sobowale. Many thanks for joining us.
Good afternoon. It's a pleasure of being here, Syria.
Do you resonate with what Bode George is saying?
No way.
So you're okay with an extension?
He's not the appropriate person to say that. We should let our democracy breathe. You get me? This was somebody who was a product of military intervention. He was governor. You get me? And he's talking out of arrogance. Maybe perhaps because the administrator was a former military officer. He still thinks you are a military rule. You are not. There is an election scheduled for tomorrow. And the stakeholders here are getting ready. Somebody went to court to stop the election. But the court has ruled that the election was good. INEC is on the ground there. The military are on the ground. I'm sure Fubara himself and these people, they are preparing for an election. They don't want anything to prolong the emergency rule. Why is it the soothsayer seeing the emergency being extended? It is false altruism, getting more Catholic than the Pope. Let the people do their elections and let's see what comes out of it.
No, but you cannot say that. Now. When you say that,
right
from the get-go,
yes,
the entire scenario and the entire issue reeks of illegitimacy and...
No way.
Yes, it is.
We discussed
because,
it,
No, we've discussed it, but people have still held the opinion.
The Supreme Court gave a ruling.
Yes.
We are under the rule of law.
Yes.
The Supreme Court gave a ruling and condemned Fubara then that he literally sacked the legislature and that we are in a system of separation of power.
Yes.
You cannot close the legislature.
So,
and that law and order has broken down there. Law and order has broken down there. That was why Tinubu acted.
No, so but imposing
but
a state of...
you have gone beyond that.
No, but
this is 6 months. This is towards the end of the thing now.
Yes.
What is it?
No, but the fact that a soul
is trying to save cash. How do I put it? To close the stable door after the horses are bolted.
No, but
this is 6 months in September. And
my own question is
no way. Look,
they say,
the rule. You're under the rule.
They say
of
legality
law.
cannot arise. Illegality cannot arise from legality.
You don't know what is legality. The Supreme Court.
Yes. Let me. So permit me to just.
Is the voice of the law in this country.
Agreed. Agreed.
And we're under the rule of law.
Yes, we agree. So, but okay. So, if I were to ask my question, first of all,
you have not even asked the question.
There have been talks about selective application of the rule of law, because when it suits some people, they decide that the rule of law is absolute. When it does not suit some,
that doesn't make courts illegal. Are you saying
nobody has said the court is illegal? When you are brandishing the rule of law,
the rulings
because
of the court.
Okay, so my own question is very simple. As it stands right now, how can a non-elected administrator be presiding over an elective position or a democratic position, as the case may be?
The president...
Is it in our law? The answer is no.
The president put him there. The president was prompted to do that because of the ruling of the Supreme Court. Respect the rule of law, please.
Okay.
And this but the former military man, see in Argentina,
He has
they sent
what he
former
did in the military administration has nothing to do with what he's saying now. What he did
it is none of his business. What's
no,
the
it is
problem?
part of his business. He's a Nigerian and he's a PDP chieftain. And it's part of his business.
You are part of him too. It is an incitement.
Not in an incitement.
Because, wait, you do not know history. If you know history, you know the 1962 crisis, how it happened. You know how it happened? There was military intervention. Our elected prime minister was killed. The premier of the north was killed.
Yes.
There was a counter intervention before we went to civil war. Okay. So it is a retired commodore who, when our democracy is on its own path, that we now refer us to 1962 and 1966 and 1970, it is a disservice to our democracy.
All right. Mr. Sobowale.
It is a disservice to our democracy. I say that. Yes.
We hear you. There are some that share your opinion, and I'm sure there are some that also share. Some also share Aaron's
what is your opinion?
stance. I have no opinion. I'm just going to ask you a question. Okay, great. So some may share Aaron's perspective that he presented, saying that these elections were supposed to restore grassroots democracy.
Yes.
But if they're widely seen by that group that, as illegitimate, have they actually...
Have you heard that Fubara has boycotted it?
I'm not talking about Fubara.
Fubara was the governor is fighting on behalf of...
No, we're fighting for democracy, not Fubara. Fubara will come and go. There will still be democracy in Nigeria.
You don't respect the rule of law, you don't know what democracy means.
So for those who might see...
If the Supreme Court makes a proclamation and you guys are dragging it in the mud, that's lawlessness.
For those who might see this as relatively illegitimate, have they actually damaged democratic institutions instead of what it was supposed to achieve?
Those who see it as illegitimate are crassly ignorant of the rule of law. You should have listened to me. They are crassly ignorant of the rule of law.
Taken.
We are having an election. This guy has been as administrator for 6 months, and on the eve of an election, you are referring to 1960. It's inciting people to...
Let's keep the messenger aside for a moment. Let's keep the messenger aside for a moment.
Fubara, has anybody said that Fubara will not be reinstated after 6 months?
Mr. Sobowale,
did you hear that?
Mr. Sobowale, most people did not. Most did not.
You must be running the state there.
Mr. Sobowale, most did not even anticipate what happened in River State playing out. So let's set aside that this message is coming from. Let's set aside. Let's set aside that this message is coming from Bode George. If September 18th comes, and for some reason, there's this decision to extend it, maybe that's why people who are concerned are stating this.
Let the election hold. Don't suffocate democracy. There's an election tomorrow. Fubara himself has not objected.
So how do we ensure that we can hold?
How do we ensure in this instance?
You cannot talk. Are you sure he's not contesting?
We know that he's been
So it's Bode George from Lagos.
How do we ensure that the president keeps to the timeline? Mr. Sobowale, how do we ensure that the president keeps to the timeline of 6 months and does not go beyond it to hold him accountable?
Did you see any sign he will not? Have you seen any sign he will not?
We didn't see any sign that he would take the step that he did.
Bode George is the one prompting you.
What prophet?
When you speak about Chief Bode George, and you make it seem like he doesn't have a locus to comment on this matter. It is completely off.
If I'm in charge of security, it will be under guard. Because it's inciting.
But unfortunately, that's not democracy. Nobody can gag a man.
We had the bloodiest coup in this country, 66 and July.
Mr. Sobowale, let me say something. If we begin to look at our past presidents and what they did from Chief Olusegun Obasanjo during his time, and also President Muhammadu Buhari during his time as a military leader.
The rule of law. Let River State breathe. Let the election hold tomorrow. Sam? Yes.
All right.
You cannot be prompted from Lagos.
Okay. Yeah. Mr. Sobowale, thank you for your time here on Newsday.